For as long as Zayla could remember, her people had spoken of Deathworlders in hushed tones. The galaxy's archives were filled with warnings about planets so hostile that nothing sane should live upon them, worlds of crushing gravity, unstable climates, predators that killed for sport. Any species that survived such conditions would be nightmares in flesh. And at the top of every whispered warning was one cursed name: Earth. When the first humans entered the Galactic Council, most civilizations recoiled. They studied the records. Storms that tore continents apart, seas filled with monsters, plagues that reshaped history, wars that never seemed to end. The Council kept their distance, always watching, never trusting. Zayla, a young strategist of the Tran Collective, had been taught to fear them. Her people were delicate, soft-skinned, bred for diplomacy and trade. Against predators like humans, the Tran would never stand a chance. Then the Korlak swarm came. The swarm devoured everything in its path, stripping planets of life and moving on like a plague of locusts. Dozens of civilizations fell. The Tran were next. Zayla stood in the war chamber of her people's capital, trembling as holograms showed the advancing swarm fleets. "We have no armies strong enough," her father, the High Chancellor, whispered. "We cannot fight them." The Council offered sympathy but little aid. Most species were preparing their own evacuations. No one dared stand against the swarm. No one except the Deathworlders. The humans arrived without fanfare. Their ships were not the largest, nor the most beautiful, but they moved with a predator's grace. Armored carriers, gunships bristling with weapons, stealth craft that slipped like shadows. Admiral Carter, the human commander, addressed the Tran leaders with a calm Zayla found unnerving. "We've fought worse," he said simply. "We'll hold the line." The Tran counselors exchanged horrified looks. "You cannot stand against them. The swarm is endless." Carter only smiled faintly. "So are we." When the battle began, Zayla expected slaughter. She expected to watch the humans crumble under the tide. But what she saw instead burned itself into her memory forever. The swarm descended in billions, ships like blackened hives, fighters like insects blotting out the stars. The Tran defenses collapsed within hours. But the humans did not retreat. They charged. On the ground, human soldiers dropped into battlefields where no sane being would fight. Toxic air? They sealed their suits. Scorching deserts? They marched anyway. Predators the size of towers? They brought them down with coordinated fire. Zayla stood on the command balcony as footage came in. A single human squad holding a choke point against thousands, refusing to yield. A pilot laughing as he flew his burning fighter straight through a swarm cluster, taking hundreds with him. A medic shielding wounded Tran with her own body, refusing to move until evac arrived. The humans bled, yes, but they never stopped. And for the first time in her life, Zayla felt something stronger than fear of them. She felt hope. Weeks turned into months. The swarm pushed, but the humans pushed back harder. Their strategies were brutal but effective. Scorched earth tactics, ambushes, weapons improvised from scrap. They adapted faster than the swarm could. At last, in orbit above Tran's homeworld, the final battle raged. Human ships detonated with the swarm's largest hive, shattering its command structure. The plague broke. The tide turned. The Tran survived because of the Deathworlders. When the war was over, Zayla met Admiral Carter in person. He stood scarred, weary, but unbroken. "My people," she began, voice shaking. "We were taught to fear you, to see you as monsters born from a cursed world." Carter studied her with those piercing human eyes. "Maybe we are monsters," he said softly, "but we choose who we fight for. Remember that." Zayla bowed her head. For the first time, not out of fear but out of respect. From that day on, the Tran no longer whispered of humans as Deathworlders. They called them something else. Allies, and perhaps even friends.